Welcome back to the Nuggets of Gold podcast and YouTube channel. Today, I am here with Tyler Crowder, and we're going to be discussing Trey Lance and Zach Wilson. Very interesting opinions, I think, from both of us, just because I think we had a little bit different going into the draft. And both these guys have excelled early on in preseason. But Tyler, you want to just kind of share your opinions on both these guys pre-draft? Then we'll talk about the preseason and just kind of talk about how our outlook is on them moving forward.
Yeah, for sure. So what's up, guys? My name's Tyler Crowder from the Kicking It with Crowder podcast, and so I was very high on both Trey Lance and Zach Wilson coming out. I had Zach Wilson as my number 3 overall player, had him as my number 2 quarterback, and basically I just saw a lot of things on tape from him that I just think translated to the next level. I think he's got tremendous arm strength. I think he's a tremendous athlete. His burst, he's a very twitchy athlete. He is explosive, a lot more explosive than a lot of people think. Like we mentioned before, he's been making some throws outside the pocket that have caught people's eye, and he reminds me of kind of a young Aaron Rodgers in a sense. I mean, I know that's a lot, but I'm telling you, I'm just really high on Zach Wilson. I've always liked him. And the more I watch him and the more I've watched him in preseason, I mean, it's just translating well right now. So, yes, you have to – he's in New York, and you have to put nice pieces around him. He's got the left tackle in Mekhi Becton. He's got Elijah Vera Tucker now in the inside left guard. They go out and get Corey Davis. They get him another weapon in Elijah Moore. They've done more for him in 6 months than they did for they did for Sam Darnold. So, I really like Zach Wilson. Trey Lance, another guy I really liked. He's a freak athlete. He showed up at his at the combine. He showed up at his pro day, just chiseled. I mean, the guy is a specimen. His dad was an athlete. This guy could have played safety at Minnesota. Could have played defense and been probably a top pick as well, but he wanted to play quarterback. And Trey Lance, it's not his fault he's only started 16 games. It's not his fault that COVID happened last year and he missed 2020, but I did take those factors in a little bit while I scouted Trey Lance. I had him as my number 12 overall player and my number 4 quarterback. So I had him behind Fields, Lawrence, and Wilson, and I had them all jam-packed up there, okay? So it's not like I had second, third round grades on him, had a first round grade on him, mid first. I thought the San Francisco 49ers probably came down to Justin Fields and Trey Lance. And, at the end of the day, Kyle Shanahan thought that Trey Lance fit his system better than Justin Fields. But that, at the end of the day, we'll see what the right pick was down the road. But at the end of the day, if you think you have your guy in the top 3, you have to go get him. So, there's nothing wrong with picking Trey Lance there if you think he's the guy that can get you over the top. Because let's just be honest, San Francisco has a really good roster. San Francisco just made it to the Super Bowl 2 years ago. Okay, injury-riddled 2020 season, you throw it out the window. Okay, honestly, they were far more talented than their record showed. So, I'm really excited to see Trey Lance in this offense. I think Jimmy Garoppolo has a few more games under his belt. I think he will be the starter for a few more games, and then it will be Trey Lance's time. And we'll go into that a little bit later on, but that's just kind of how I had him pre-draft. Very high on both. Zach Wilson just a little bit higher. I like his ceiling a little bit better than Trey Lance. I think what you're getting out of Trey Lance is probably a 10-year starter in the NFL, a guy who is very freakish of an athlete, can make those throws and have that 80-yard touchdown his first game. Has taken a couple sacks. The game's looked a little fast to him at times, but that's nothing that a little film and a little experience will help. So very high on Trey Lance, Matt, and we'll see what he does going in. Should not be waiting long. I think Jimmy Garoppolo gets the nod. He's 36-12 as a starter, 75% completion percentage. So I think Jimmy Garoppolo gets the nod, but you will not be waiting very, very far for Trey Lance.
Yeah, I like your quarterback board was a little bit different than mine, but I do see a lot of the stuff that you saw. I'll start on Zach Wilson first, just because I've talked a lot about Trey Lance on this channel, especially. And I've talked to you about Trey Lance, I think, a lot as well. So things about Zach Wilson, when he was coming out, so the first time I watched him was like when he was starting to get some hype, and I'd heard like, oh, he's going to be like that an early round second guy, a late first guy, almost like Jordan Love was for the Packers the year before. So I watched him and I was like, I would be very down to take this guy in that area. Liked him a lot. And then I think like the hype of him kind of escalated a little bit more than I saw on film. I definitely liked a lot of things. I think when he was drafted, I thought he's a NFL starting level quarterback. Not like I thought he was going to be a massive bust or anything. But I had some questions. I think my biggest question was I thought he was really good all around the board, but I thought that his only like truly elite trait that I could tell on tape was his arm talent. Now, what he has shown, I think through the beginning of preseason, and I think I was definitely wrong on a lot of this stuff, his arm strength. His arm strength is a lot better than I saw. There were some throws, and I had some questions just because I felt like he didn't have to really sit back in the pocket and just delivered like deep outs and plays deep and outside the numbers. And we look at what he's done in the preseason. That's exactly what he's done. He's made the layup throws in this offense because he's also running. I mean, we talked about Zach Wilson or Trey Lance's fit in Kyle's offense, but with Zach Wilson, they're running the same offense.
Yeah.
And he has looked really comfortable in it. He's looked like he's ran it very proficiently. Corey Davis also, if you guys have watched the preseason, Corey Davis looks like an absolute monster right now. Dude
he looks like the top 5 pick he was originally.
Yes, exactly. He looks like he's going to be a wide receiver 1 next year. So he's balling out. And now you have a guy that's looking really comfortable in an offense. There was a couple plays I saw where a guy comes in, someone doesn't pick him up, someone misses their assignment, and there's a free blitzer right at him. He sits back. It's like, I think it was 3rd and 5, and he delivered like a 7-yard out. Delivered it perfectly, got laid out, and they picked up the first. It was a fantastic play. So a lot of the questions I had with him coming out, and like I said, I didn't think I thought he was a first round quarterback. I liked him. Like I said, if he would have got drafted later, I would have been all over it.
Yeah.
But I just thought it was a little bit rich because I was really high on Trey Lance and Justin Fields coming out. And so that's where the differences were. Thought Zach Wilson was better than Mac Jones, and I don't even necessarily hate Mac Jones or anything like that.
Yeah.
But I did like the player, but I thought that everyone's just a little bit high. And I mean, immediately early on, he's looking like he's better than I anticipated. So props to him for really looking good early on. On the Trey Lance note, I have also been pretty much floored with how he's looked this early on. And I know you can look at some of the numbers and the completion percentages aren't there. And he looks like he's processing the game a little bit slower than, for instance, Zach Wilson is. I didn't think that he'd be this far along right now. I also, one thing that I hadn't really thought of that a guest on my show, my last guest on the show brought up is that there's a very good chance that the 49ers are telling Trey Lance, for preseason, we want you staying in the pocket. We do not want you to take off with the football.
Oh yeah.
And that's something where he looks like he's been in some situations where he probably would take off with the football, and he kind of waits and he hesitates and he delivers a funky ball. And that's where a lot of his incompletions have been, just like these unnatural parts of the game.
Drop passes.
Yeah.
Too.
Oh, a lot of drop passes. But when he's been running that offense, and this is why I like him so much, he looks so comfortable in it. Like I brought up with Zach Wilson, it looks like he's just dinking and dunking. When they're running the play action, he has been absolute money in preseason. And if they need to, just get like some big plays, like we saw at the end of the second half against the Chargers, he's like 1 of 6 with an interception for 9 yards, and he completely flips the script. Like he is unfazed. Like he looks so comfortable, I feel like. And I wasn't really expecting that early on. So he's also, been very impressive to me. I do think he needs to make some improvements. Like I was saying, like he's sitting in the pocket a long time, and that could just be that they're asking him to.
Yeah.
But that's one of my big questions with him. His accuracy when he's not either on the run or just like in a comfortable spot in the pocket, his motion doesn't look super refined, and that makes perfect sense. He made a lot of adjustments to it this offseason. So that's something I'm fully expecting to take a while. And we were talking about Josh Allen before. Look at Josh Allen, took him about 2 years, and then he had an 11% completion percentage jump. That is absurd. We could see something like that with Trey Lance early on in his career. But that's where I'm at with these guys. What have you thought about their preseason performances so far?
Yeah. So, if I had to rank them, based off of, who's had the best preseason so far, I think a lot of people will say Zach Wilson has looked the best out of the 5 quarterbacks that were selected. I think that this 2021 class will, I mean, the way they're starting and, based off the way they finished, has a potential to be like a really, really good class. I'm talking 1983, 2004, these type of classes, 2012, these type of classes that you remember. And I think that this class has all the potential to do that. And you look at Zach Wilson, 15 for 20, 191 yards, 2 touchdowns. He's making these off-platform throws that the NFL expects you to make nowadays, that Patrick Mahomes has kind of put out there in the universe. And, he's like 5 or 6 or 7 on third down. I mean, that's unheard of. Teams are sending blitz packages, his way. He's just sitting back there and he just looks comfortable. So that would be the word I would use with Zach Wilson. He just looks comfortable right now. Now it's going to change when the lights really come on in the first game. So we'll see what happens. I don't think that the 49ers are probably using half their playbook right now with Trey Lance. That's probably what I don't think that they're going to show teams, what they're going to be running week 10 right now with Trey Lance. I just don't think that. I think it's very vanilla for him right now. And like I was telling you earlier, I think that Jimmy Garoppolo should be the starter based off of who they're playing. The Lions, they're playing the Eagles. Yes, you can make a case that, hey, let's put Trey Lance out there against these two teams and let's see him go play. But it makes a lot of sense to me, a guy who's 36-12 as a starter. Jimmy Garoppolo is 36-12 as a starter, went to the Super Bowl 2 years and about to lose his job. So getting paid a lot of money as well. So at the end of the day, Jimmy Garoppolo's 36-12 as a starter. You have those first 5 games, okay? I talked to you about it earlier. All right, you got the Lions, you got the Eagles, then you have Packers, Seahawks, Cardinals. All right, so you can get out of those first 5 games 3-2, okay? I think if you get out of there 3-2, 4-1, that's a total win for the San Francisco 49ers. Then if you're able to come off that bye week, and then you're able to have Trey Lance for the last 12 games, and he's able to see Jimmy Garoppolo go out there and see what an NFL quarterback needs to look like, and he's been able to study the tape, study the film of these NFL regular season games, not these preseason games. I really think that makes a lot of sense for not only Trey Lance, but Trey Lance's development, Kyle Shanahan, this 49ers team. This is a very good team. So are they a quarterback away, from getting over that hump? So I think it makes a lot of sense with what I'm hearing. Kyle Shanahan and not answering these questions and things like that. It could be Trey Lance week 1, but that's just how I would go about it. You still have Trey Lance for 12 games. Jimmy Garoppolo wins you 3 or 4 of those games. And then at the end of the day, Trey Lance, this is your football team. And then maybe if you get an offer for Jimmy Garoppolo at the trade deadline, maybe you're comfortable with Nate Sudfeld. Maybe you move on from Jimmy Garoppolo. Maybe you bring in another quarterback to the fold. But at the end of the day, they didn't go up and trade all these draft picks to sit Trey Lance. I just don't believe that. I just don't believe that's what they did. So Trey Lance will play at some point. We'll see when it is, but I think it makes a lot of sense for the October 24th game. I think who they play after the bye. I know I can't remember right now, but wherever that first game is after that bye, I think Trey Lance, pencil him in as a starter. Now, if it's before that, we'll see. But that's just my thoughts.
No, I like it. I think a lot of 49er fans have almost taken themselves and put them into 2 categories of we want Jimmy Garoppolo to start the full season or we want Trey Lance to start week 1. And it seems like there's almost no in between right now. So it's cool to get that perspective.
Yeah.
I am in the boat where I think that Trey Lance should start week 1. Now, the big reason why I feel that way is I just think he gives them a better chance to win immediately. I think that when you do just throw him out there, I think that it is a little bit more risky of a move. I just think it makes them a better football team immediately. And I think that it gives them the chance to just be a little bit better. Like, even though it's only 5 games, I think it gives them a chance to be a little bit better during the end of the season, during a potential playoff run, stuff like that. However, if they win, I think what you're saying is the most likely scenario for what they're going to do. Now, you also brought up Kyle's had some weird comments. Kyle's comments have been all over the place. I love them. I think they're hilarious. He's having a great time with the media. Also, Jimmy Garoppolo was asked if he knows who the starter was going to be, and he had a big smile and said, "Yeah, I do," or like I have a pretty good idea or something. So that
Yeah.
made it seem like it will be Jimmy Garoppolo week 1. I do like if a scenario where Jimmy plays the first 5 and then they have a bye and then Trey Lance comes in, because most of the time when people have been talking about Trey Lance coming in, it's been in like week 10 or like week 11 at the end of the season. And that's almost like it feels like Lamar Jackson in his rookie year, and it feels like he didn't really have a chance to get super comfortable before the playoffs.
Exactly.
So
you get 12 games of them. That's still, still a 75% of your schedule. And so I think that makes a lot of sense. I really do.
Yeah. No, so I think that's definitely a possibility. Like I said, I still would like to see him week 1. That's also just a little bit of bias in me. I mean,
and they're playing the Lions. That's another reason you want to see him out there week 1, because you don't
he'll
want
look
Jimmy
real
Garoppolo
good.
to go out. The Trey Lance people don't want Jimmy Garoppolo to go out there and throw for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. I mean, that's so it's going to be weird. They're going to be like rooting against Jimmy Garoppolo, but rooting for the San Francisco 49ers. So and you're playing a Lions team. So that's another reason. So like, I get that people may want him to go out there against this Eagles and Lions team, but then I get why they want Garoppolo to go out there and give Lance some time to, get through his first walkthrough in a regular season game, and then you're holding the clipboard. But I wouldn't be surprised if he had some packages, if two, 3 packages
inside the
for
20.
him in the game where you can use them and get him that experience, and then boom, after the break, you're the guy. Like Tua and what they did with the Dolphins last year. Even though I think last year with Tua, the Dolphins probably reached a little bit and forced him into. And that's a guy I think is going to make a major leap this next year. I really like Tua. I'm high on him as well. But he just was not right off that hip injury last year, and they forced him into it, and they had to go back to Fitzpatrick, and it just didn't work. Once you go to Lance, you can't go back to Jimmy Garoppolo. You can't make that mistake. So that's why I don't think you want to go too early either. You don't want to go too early, but you don't want to go too late. And that's why, week 7 after the bye makes a ton of sense.
No, I think that very well could be the case. Like I said, I would like to see Trey Lance start, but chances are he doesn't.
Yeah.
But I love the idea. I think it's a pretty solid one. I've heard people talk about the bye a little bit, but usually when the bye gets brought up, they're like, oh, well, that's too early if you're going to start Jimmy. And like one of the reasons is, well, the Niners will start, if they start out 4-1 or 3-2, they're not going to move on from Jimmy, right?
Yeah.
Well, if they start 4-1 and they're like, our offense isn't even as good as it should be, Kyle Shanahan will pull the trigger. That's the thing. Like, I feel like, and that's also why I think there is a chance. Like, I do think that Jimmy will be the week 1 starter, but I do want Trey. And I do think there is still a chance, just because if Kyle's like, Trey gives me a way better chance to start this game, or to win this game, to win these first 5, then he might rock with Trey. I don't think it's a guarantee, but I think he might. So
lean heavily on that run.
Sorry. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, lean heavily on that run game with either quarterback, Jimmy Garoppolo or Trey Lance. Lean heavily on Mozart, who, if he's healthy, he's one of the top 15 backs in the league if he's healthy. But, that's a big if. And then you have Trey Sermon, that insurance policy, who I really like that signing or that draft pick. So lean heavily on them, and then tell Bosa and those guys to go get after him on defense, and, just set the tone early and just show people that, hey, this 49ers team is a lot like that 2019 team who was very close to winning the Super Bowl. So Trey Lance they brought him here to get him over the top. So I'm really excited for the 49ers franchise. I'm not a 49ers fan, but I can still be excited for them. It's an exciting time, and I can't wait to see NFL football here in 2 weeks, man. 2 weeks from today, and these NFL rookie quarterbacks get their crack at it. And before I rank them real quick, I'd probably have them right now. I'd rank them Zach Wilson, Justin Fields, Mac Jones, Trey Lance, and Trevor Lawrence. I mean, Trevor Lawrence has not looked that good so far, and it's kind of shocking. But at the end of the day, he doesn't have a good offensive line. He's going to get sacked a lot. But can he hang in there for 16, 17 games and prove to everyone that he should have been the number 1 pick, while Zach Wilson's just going out there and tearing it up? And then New York media, I'm telling you, it's going to be crazy if Zach Wilson goes out there and starts to just like 3-0 or something. Like, it's going to be insane.
Well, we've already seen the hype of the Giants this offseason. I mean, the New York media, if anyone is playing well, they're like in the MVP discussion for everyone
Oh,
in
I
the
know.
media in New York.
We'll see
But
what
no,
happens.
isn't that crazy that like based on these two preseason games, you're like, well, uh, out of these two games, Trevor Lawrence has looked the worst. I don't think anyone would have thought that.
Uh-uh.
And I know you're not saying Trevor Lawrence is going to be the worst, but
Yeah,
like,
no, just like how I look at it right now,
yeah,
and Trey Lance, Mac Jones. I mean, Mac Jones has looked really good. Like, I just like Mac Jones for so many other things besides his play, like what he does, in the locker room, what he does watching film, what he does preparing for the games. I mean, this guy, Mac Jones, before we get out of here, I got to say this. Mac Jones went to Alabama with Jalen Hurts already entrenched as a starter and got to a national championship as a freshman and went with Tua as the number 1 or 2 quarterback in his class and went to Alabama and competed and stayed and didn't leave and won a job and won a national championship and went 15th overall in the draft. Like, if that's not like, I mean, that's crazy right there. Most people don't sit 1 year. He sat for 3 years, got prepared, and when his time was ready, he was. I mean, when the lights came on, he was ready. So, like, that's uh, just as impressive as anything right there. I mean, he literally went to Alabama with Tua and Jalen Hurts and came out, and he could end up being the best out of all three, which is insane.
that is really weird to think about.
Yep.
He's looked good. He's looked really good for the Patriots.
Yep.
Seemed
He's
like there was some
cerebral,
early.
man. It's all up here with him. Like, yeah, he has some talent. He's gonna put it where he needs to. Alabama, his guys are open, but like at the end of the day, like that's what separates him is like his mental. Like that's the difference with him.
Yeah, no, and he's been good. We were talking about it before. All five of these quarterbacks could be. I mean, they're all looking good. That's the thing. Like
The
if
NFL's
Lawrence,
in the best hand with starting quarterbacks. The NFL is as deep and as good as it's ever been. All 32 teams right now. I can really say that.
yeah, no, I think you're right. I mean, you're talking about guys like, for instance, like Jimmy Garoppolo. If you start doing quarterback rankings, he falls pretty far below.
Mm-hmm.
If he would have been in the league 15 years ago, he would be ranked way higher. Like
Yep.
he'd be an above average quarterback. And it's
Yep.
just because of how good everyone is.
I remember when half the league didn't have a quarterback. I mean, seriously, you're always looking for those guys. But right now, I mean, you look at I'm going to name 9 guys who just came in the last 2 years. Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, Trey Lance, Justin Fields, Mac Jones, Joe Burrow, Tua, Justin Herbert, Jalen Hurts. That's 9 quarterbacks in 2 years. Then you have some other guys, Kellen Mond, you have Davis Mills, you have Jake Fromm from
Mills
last. You have
good
other
too.
guys who are still going to be backups in the league that are, young too. So the league is in great hands right now at quarterback, and I think it all starts with just the whole Elite 11 process, the 7-on-7, the high school coaching, the college coaching. It's just better than it's ever been, and that's why these quarterbacks are ready now. So that's why Trey Lance didn't play last year, but he got ready with Jordan Palmer and all this, and really excited to see him play, man.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's going to do it for this segment. Tyler's going to be on tomorrow's segment as well. We're just going to be talking about the 49ers rookie class. Going to talk a lot about Trey Sermon, Diamador Lenore, a couple guys like that. So we'll be talking about that tomorrow. But thank you, Tyler, for talking quarterbacks today. Super fun. Always good to, hear a different opinion, hear some different rankings, because I talk about mine a lot. So like it's nice to, get some differences in there, because and also Zach Wilson, I mean, super impressed by him. So props to him for really going out there balling out so far early in preseason. And I know it's just preseason, but I think a lot of it is just seeing guys compete against other NFL players where you can really start to see who they are. And it has been so positive for all these rookies so far. And the best part is we're only 2 weeks in. So we're going to see some special stuff from this rookie class throughout the entire NFL season. It's going to be really fun stuff. So thanks for coming on, Tyler. And we will talk to you guys tomorrow.
Thanks for having me on, man. Be sure to check out my page, guys. Kicking It with Crowder, and pretty much anywhere you get your podcast.
Yeah, Tyler's got a ton of NFL content right there. A lot of Falcons stuff, a lot of draft stuff, and just overall football, really. So thanks, Tyler.
Thanks, man.